Hey guys, welcome back to 428 Shibuya Scramble. It's DJ Gamer Girl signing on. Readjusting my headset. Good. Last episode, we played Tama's story up to a keep out. Basically, the recycle guy was originally supposed to take some Tamagotchi knockoffs and accidentally took the burning hammer drink instead. So Yana sent Tama and Chidi. Also, by the way, I watched through the last episode, and I accidentally called you Chiaki. I'm sorry. And then we started Minorikawa's story, and he's still trying to get the stuff together for the magazine, and I almost got a bad ending for interrupting police case because there was a listening device, and it was like it wasn't good. It wasn't gonna end good. The plump young woman set about devouring all the food she'd ordered despite the strange looks she was getting. Now that was an appetite to be reckoned with. It took her under 3 minutes to polish off the lot. Then, looking at the least bid stated, she picked the menu right back up. Was she seriously going to order more? Minorikawa was starting to take an interest in this young lady. There might be a story here. He conjured up a series of headlines in his mind. Woman inhales 30,000 calories in 3 minutes. This is the equivalent of 100 pieces of shortcake, 300 glasses of milk, or enough steak and rice to feed about 30 people. Jesus. No, he needs something with more punch. Food for thought. An expose on obesity. No, that was no good. Not to mention, some people might think of it the wrong way. He wasn't writing for a fashion mag here. A gourmet day in Shibuya. That was it. He'd be able to whip up something if he went with the food angle. Minorikawa got up from his seat. That's pretty impressive, he said to the hungry diner. Do you always eat that much? The young woman glared back at him. Not always, she said. Suddenly, tension filled the air. Oops. Was that way too blunt of me? Kinda. I mean, she's a young lady after all. Maybe I should change up my approach. Who the heck are you, anyway? The woman asked. I'm a freelancer writer. I was hoping I could do an interview with you real quick. You want to interview me? Suspicion was plain on her face. I do. I mean, girls all over the world worry about their diets, right? I hear that, yeah. So will you be willing to share your secret or your technique or whatever for how to eat without getting fat? What, me? Sure, I mean, look at the figure you're maintaining despite eating all this food. The young woman's expression brightened up. Oh, you noticed? There's actually a lot that goes into all this. Yeah? The basic thing, though, is to eat 10 meals a day. Minorikawa struggled to keep his jaw from dropping. 10 meals a day? She flashed him a chubby-cheeked grin. You don't know how diets work, do ya? She chuckled. Eating only 1 or 2 meals a day? That's what'll make you fat. I mean, doesn't it depend on metabolism and stuff like that? You gotta space out your food into smaller portions throughout the day. What you ate was definitely not small portions. That's the fundamentals of dieting right there. Right. But what happened to the smaller portions part? Even Minorikawa is just like, I saw you eat all that. Those weren't small. Minorikawa had to bite his tongue. Ah, I see, he said. Any other pro dieting tips you could share? Well, for the basics, I'd always say drink protein instead of tea, yeah? Drink protein all day? Seriously? Once again, it took all of Minorikawa's willpower to keep his thoughts to himself. Let's see, what else? Oh, there's this stuff called Burning Hammer, too, but she trailed off with a little wince. Wait, Minorikawa perked up. Did you say Burning Hammer? Oh, you know it? I've heard of it anyway, Minorikawa replied. He decided he was better off keeping his plans to head to the sales demo secret. There's a sales demo later on if you're interested, the woman said as if she were reading his thoughts. Though, full disclosure, I am working for them right now. She handed Minorikawa an advertising pamphlet. There was a more detailed map of the venue included. What a stroke of luck! Now he didn't need to rely on the crummy map in the project proposal anymore. He'd have no trouble finding the venue with the building's various floors all broken down for him. And actually, I gotta get back to work, the woman said. Sure, thank you so much for your time. I'm going to hang back and finish up my copy here. The woman left the cafe and Minorikawa went back to his laptop. He'd gotten some new info on Burning Hammer sales demo, but he'd also lost some more time. The surveillance camera piece still wasn't finished. It was going to be a near thing to get it done before the sales demo started. Yet, instead of returning to his writing, he got out his cell phone. What if Toyama had gotten another of his crazy ideas? If he tried to hang himself again? I thought Minorikawa too worried to work on his copy. Checking up on your buddy, huh? The phone rang several times before someone picked up. Mr. Toyama, where are you right now? Minorikawa asked. Right now? I'm on the run, somewhere near Shoto. An upscale residential district. Despite being smack dab in the middle of the city, it's a quiet neighborhood, rife with greenery. The residence of the former governor of Tokyo is here, built on a massive 2,200 square meter plot of land. There's a shady hotel district a short walk to the south, making for quite the juxtaposition. Shady hotel district? We're talking about love hotels? Toyama was speaking oddly in a hushed tone. Shoto. After you left the office, some guys came by to collect all my debts, so I made a run for it. Okay, so he wasn't dead, but the situation was still pretty bad. Look, we'll get you through this somehow, Minorikawa said, hoping it was true. Just keep your head down and stay... Get back to the office. Just keep your head down and stay out of trouble. Stay where you are now. If he goes back to the office, then they'll know. Just keep your head down and stay out of trouble. Stay where you are now. Stay where I am? But what am I supposed to do? Toyama's voice dropped in and out. It sounded like he was moving quickly. Find some place to hide and just lay low for a while, Minorikawa told him. Alright, Toyama said weakly. He hung up. Minorikawa let out a deep sigh. Then he turned back to his laptop. Watch, this ends up bringing a bad end for Kano. Again. Which seems to be the one character I get the most bad endings for so far. Oh, you've got to keep out too. Well, shit. I was hoping that encounter with Chidi was going to lead to Tama's keep out. Oh, let's continue with Osawa. I'm really curious about this virus. The rain won't let up. No matter how much time passes, it just won't stop. Ever since that day, the sound of raindrops has been burned into my mind. Such an awful, heart-rending sound, driving me to strip my life down to shadows. And yet, no matter what else I abandon, nothing will make the sound of the rain stop. Osawa stared at a postcard that was nestled into the final page of the photo album. He'd purchased it 2 years earlier while on a trip with Maria to the Middle East. Originally used to indicate Iran, Afghanistan, and the region surrounding them, In modern times, the term refers to the southwestern Asia, excluding India and Afghanistan, and the section of northeastern Asia along with the Mediterranean coast. However, in Japan, as well as the US, the term Middle East is often understood to refer specifically to those parts of the region with a strong Islamic influence. He mentioned that he was being sent there on business, and Maddie, I just blurted out, "I want to go with you." She'd recently developed the interest in the Middle East conflict, and apparently she had been yearning to see the area firsthand. Ongoing friction in the Palestine region between the Jewish who founded the nation of Israel and the Arabs who had been living there previously, supposedly. It's well beyond the scope of what can be elucidated here. Yeah, it's been going on for quite a while. His daughter's newfound curiosity had taken him aback. She had always tended to be quiet and self-contained. The clumsy conversations aboard the airplane, the meals eaten together in awkward silence, it felt like such a distant memory to Osawa now. "Ma'am, I'm afraid I can't let you do that." He heard Kajiwara's voice outside the door. Oh god, what now? Why ever not? I'm just going out for a bit. The detective was arguing with I. Great. And just who was it who told me I should try to go about my life as normal? Osawa's wife sneered. "Ma'am, please, wait. How would you feel about being told to just sit around and wait?" I's angry shriek jerked Osawa to his feet. He hurried from the study to try and calm her down. Ma'am, please wait! No, too late. But by the time Osawa had made his way downstairs, his wife had already stormed outside, despite Kajiwara's attempt to stop her. Osawa doubted anything he could have said would have stopped I from leaving. Trying to physically keep her from going out would have only made for an even worse uproar. He was glad that at least it hadn't come to that. He was turning to head back to the study when Kajiwara caught his eye. Resigned, he headed down the stairs and bowed to the detective. Any idea where she's going? Kajiwara asked. I mean, at a time like this? Osawa shook his head. I wouldn't know. I didn't think so. You know, your wife really is something else. Osawa arched an eyebrow. That's one way to describe her. A rather rude way, as a matter of fact. Oh, no offense intended. It's just that ever since this case started, you've both been holed up in your own respective rooms. The more Kajiwara spoke, the more irritated Osawa became. What's your point? He demanded. I just mean, you haven't been having any marital discourse. According to one survey, in roughly 6% of households, discourse between spouses is largely non-existent. Various reasons for this were offered by the couples in question. Many claimed they were too tired to have the energy to talk, or stated we wind up fighting when we talk, or we have nothing to talk about. That's like an argument here and there. You know, it's not bad, but if every time you try to talk, that's bad. Mind your own business, Osawa snapped. Kajiwara dipped his head deferentially. The two of us not talking isn't a new thing anyhow, Osawa added. I have a policy of not having pointless conversations. It is quite common for Kenji Osawa to make it through an entire day without having a single conversation. On many days, he opens his mouth only to eat or brush his teeth. His current record is a streak of 14 consecutive days during which he didn't talk to anyone. I mean, I think he broke it. Huh. It didn't look as though Kajiwara quite understood. Microorganisms such as virus don't have conversations, and yet they still continually propagate in order to survive. Thinking about viruses, Osawa was back in familiar territory. He felt a surge of confidence. Once you have a clear purpose, conversation is unnecessary. And do you have a clean purpose for the relationship with your wife, Mr. Osawa? Of course I do. To be a family. Well, that's failing. Because of the kind of woman you married. Arms crossed, Kajiwara struck a thoughtful pose. At least I've learned one useful thing today, Mr. Osawa. Namely, that you don't like to have pointless conversations. It's a good thing to know. Kajiwara uncrossed his arms for a moment, then crossed them right back again, furrowing his brow. But see, that's funny. You seem to have a tendency to have pointless conversations with me, and because you keep coming to talk to me. Also, I saw red. You don't leave me much of a choice. Tanaka poked his head out of the living room. Is something the matter? He asked. No. Also, a struggle to regain his calm. Perfect timing, actually. There's something I need to talk to you about. He turned back to Kajiwara. My apologies, detective, but would you mind giving us some privacy? Kajiwara didn't move. Detective? Osawa gave the policeman a hard look and saw him crack a smile. Yes, what is it? Kajiwara said at last. Don't you plead dumb with me. Give us some privacy. This is a discussion I shouldn't overhear. Actually, yes, it's work-related. There are business matters I prefer to keep confidential. Ah, I see. Reluctantly getting to his feet, Kajiwara slipped away into the living room. You're not making yourself look any better, Kaji. Tanaka, Osawa began. About those emails. He stopped abruptly. Dude, you have just officially hit creeper status. This isn't just socially awkward. This is... You've hit creeper status, and it's not making you look good. Kajiwara had reappeared in the living room door, staring right at them. What are you doing? Osawa demanded. Oh, should I not be watching? Osawa felt like he was about to burst a blood vessel. I mean, you never told me I couldn't watch. Because it should be obvious. The detective made a scolded puppy face, then closed the living room door. Osawa let out a heavy sigh. He'd never been an extrovert, but he didn't recall human interaction being quite as draining. Anyway, sir, Tanaka prompted. You were saying? Yes, about those emails. Something doesn't make sense. I don't understand how Mr. Makino was able to get the antiviral agent to anyone on the outside. Sharing an Okoshi Pharmaceuticals drug with external sources while it was still under development required the approval of an executive committee that included Osawa himself. There should have been no way the antiviral could be sent out without his knowledge. Tanaka hesitated a few moments before responding. Are you aware of the strife between the company president and the chairman? Osawa shook his head. He was a researcher through and through. Factional rivalries had no interest for him whatsoever. Makino effectively leads the chairman's team, and the antiviral agent is their pet project. Despite being the executive officer in charge of the project, however, Makino still needs the president's approval to... You know what? Forget about that right now. What do we do about security? In theory, it was physically impossible to get the antiviral out of the lab without detection. Entry to the biohazard laboratory where it was kept required fingerprint authentication from both Osawa and Tanaka. Whoop. Technology that allows individuals' identity to be verified by scanning the fingerprints. It is one element of biometrics, the measurement of physical characteristics to identify individuals. There are even devices that can identify people by checking the veins in the palms of their hands or the irises of their eyes. two of them there, nobody could even get into the storage facility. Because a dangerous virus is also stored there, the lab where the antiviral is kept is protected by an ID checkpoint, as well as a sophisticated 3-tiered lock system that requires fingerprint authentication. Multiple security guards are also posted outside the laboratory entrance 24 hours a day, making it all but impossible for an unauthorized person to get into the secured storage area. Unless it wasn't the antiviral they stole, but the research to make it. Tanaka followed his drift. Yes, I see what you mean. He inclined his head in thought as Osawa continued. Let's check the entry logs. Anyone who wanted to get inside had to present their ID card to the security guard on duty. It should be possible to check the computer logs to see if there had been any suspicious activity in the system. Tanaka shook his head. Are you ready to check the logs, sir? There was no evidence of anything suspicious. You're welcome to check it for yourself, though, if you're that worried. No, I believe you. Yet the fact is that the antiviral had been used for clinical testing. Either Makino had taken it from the laboratory personally, or someone working on his orders had done so. But how? Was there really some way they could have bypassed lab security without anyone else knowing? Also, I couldn't think how it would be possible. The living room door opened with a soft creak. It was Kajiwara. He looked stiff and pale. Something terrible has happened, he said. Visions of tragedy flooded Osawa's mind. Maria, is she? Kajiwara shook his head. No, it's not that. What is it then? Osawa asked, his voice trembling. Sir, I need you to stay calm. Osawa swallowed the lump in his throat. You see, the toilet. Kajiwara! You! Absolute! Oh! I thought you were going to talk about Hitomi! Because, oh my god, the toilet's clogged. I seriously thought you were going to talk about Hitomi being missing. Because technically, she is! I mean, we know she's with Achi, trying to find who's helping her find her sister, but they don't know that. Plunger in hand, Osawa stabbed vigorously at the recalcitrant toilet bowl, struggling to loosen the unseen blockage. I mean, we know what a plunger is. Yeah, we're waiting to know the sounds it makes as you're pushing it up and down. Kajiwara was at his side, wiping up the floor with a rag. How did this even happen? The detective groaned. Are you kidding? I was hoping you could tell me that. The plunger sucked and scraped at the porcelain basin. This was a first for Osawa. He never tried to unclog a toilet before in his life. I mean, it looks like you're doing fine. Think of it as a blessing in disguise, Mr. Osawa. The hell are you talking about? What about this constitutes a blessing? I just meant that at least this happened before you needed to do your business. Without the slightest hint of guile on his face, Kajiwara picked up his bucket and headed for the sink back in the washing area. Grumbling to himself, Osawa pumped the plunger over and over again. This was almost funny. Almost ridiculous, in fact. His daughter had been kidnapped, and he was stuck on clogging a toilet. He was quite possibly caught up in a major corporate conspiracy, and here he was unclogging a toilet. Tanaka poked his head into the bathroom. Did you fix it yet? If you need to urinate, then use the restroom on the second floor. That's alright, here's fine. Tanaka stepped in beside him and abruptly shut the... Tanaka, what are you doing? Is there something we need to know about Tanaka? Something you're not telling us? Now the two men were crammed together in a narrow lavatory. Hey! Osawa hissed. What the hell are you doing? Tanaka made eye contact with Osawa via the mirror. He spoke in a hushed voice. I've been waiting for a moment I could get you home. Please tell me you're talking about the emails and what's going on, because otherwise, I think Osawa is about to be very violated. What? Tanaka sidled around to face him, giving him an intense stare. Sir, could you please be quiet for a moment? Tanaka had tears in the corner of his eyes. This will only take a moment. Oh god, we're gonna get so violated! Also, I could feel the warm breath of his deputy whispering against his cheek. Tanaka reached for something inside his coat. Alright, do as you wish. Take me! Just take me, Tanaka! I'm pretty sure he's better than your wife anyway, you might as well. Oh my god, we're gonna get so violated. Alright, do as you wish. Osawa closed his eyes. Are you sure you're ready for... No, this is not... This is not helping! I'm not sure. This is all happening pretty fast. To be honest, I'm rather nervous. I understand, sir. I mean, now that I think about it, we just spend day in and day out in that lab together. I suppose this was bound to happen sooner or later. Sir, could you please open your eyes? I'd like you to look at this. You'll have to forgive me. This is all a bit sudden. Please, sir, take a look. No, I can't. It's just the two of us. It's probably going to shock you, I know. Please, just look. Is it really that shocking? Oh, yes. Very. Now, please open your eyes. Okay. No, I can't! Sir, trust me, this isn't easy for me either. Alright. Bracing himself... Right, that! That was good. That was really good. Like, with the way Tanaka was talking, I was half expecting for them to just start going at it with each other. Just do the do. Right there, in the bathroom. See how loud Osawa can moan. This is good writing. This is definite proof of good writing if there wasn't any proof of it before now. Bracing himself, Osawa opened his eyes. Tanaka thrust out his cell phone. Here, take a look at this. Huh? Osawa blinked, bewildered, then refocused on the phone. Like, even Osawa! Judging by the way this is written, even Osawa thought that was what was going to happen. He could never have anticipated what he saw on the LCD screen. And another keep out. 3 keep outs at once. Jesus! Alright. We've only got Kano and Achi to go through, and one of them has to unlock some keep outs. Alright. We'll be starting Kano in the next episode. I'm still thinking about that last bit. Alright, we're gonna start Kano's chapter in the next episode. Until then, this is the Gamer Girl, signing off.